So what are your thoughts on these new proposed shake-ups for SANZAAR come through from the broadcasters? So it's been in the news today, actually for the last couple of days, all these recommendations from the broadcasters for SANZAAR. Look, with the Nations Championship, we still don't know if that's going to go through. I know the Six Nations are dragging their feet. One thing I can say is, look, at least SANZAAR are thinking of a plan B. That's better than reactive thinking and more proactive thinking. So yeah, this is what's come back from the broadcasters for SANZAAR. So it's a proposed shake-up just in case the Nations Championship doesn't come through, and then we need a plan B. I like a plan B, and I'd like SANZAAR to find the solution themselves to their own problems, not World Rugby. And then we dictate it from World Rugby all the time on how we're supposed to manage our affairs in the Southern Hemisphere. If the Northern Hemisphere can have the Six Nations and they can take care of themselves, I'm sure we should be exactly the same. So the first thing would be with the final for Super Rugby played in a neutral venue. Not 100% sold on the fact, because rugby is not the biggest sport in the world, and I know they want an NFL's kind of style, and it's much easier in Europe to have a neutral venue because the locations are quite close. So if they had a neutral venue in, I don't know, in New Zealand, somewhere in New Zealand, how the South African spectators actually going to get there. So it makes it fairly difficult to try find a neutral venue. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe if they had a final that was, because I was reading somewhere else, they were talking that the NFL and all of that, it's like a huge big spectacle that day. So they have a lot of things happening. So maybe they could have a bit of a mini sevens tournament, third and fourth playoff, maybe under 21s, maybe a curtain raiser with under 21 national sides. To really make a day of it, like a huge entertainment. They can bring in people to do a halftime show or something like that. So it actually makes it worthwhile to actually go to the day. It's not just an 80-minute game and people go home, but it's like literally half a day, full-on entertainment. I don't know if you guys remember the beginning of the year when we had the four South African franchises playing against each other, and Cape Town Stadium was full. And Cape Town Stadium is wonderful when it's full. And I went there for the sevens, and it's an amazing stadium. So yeah, if they could find a neutral venue and they could really make a spectacle of it, I think it could work. But it can't just be the rugby game. There has to be more on offer for it to be a neutral venue. Next one, it would be having marquee players. So by that it means is you'd have Beauden Barrett would be able to play, if he was a marquee player, he'd be able to play for any one of the Super Rugby franchises and still be eligible to play for the All Blacks. I've always thought that was a really good idea, only because they still have control over the player. They're still playing the same games. They're still off at the same times. So for me, I don't see why a Beauden Barrett or Andre Pollard or Dwayne Vermeulen can go play for the Blues, and that literally just one marquee player per team. That's what they're all allowed. I think that's what the Premiership have. And yeah, you just literally get some stars. And there were lots of talk about that the South African Australian games don't have the same audience. Look, be honest, even in this country, it's exactly the same. I don't watch the Australian South African games as much as I watch the New Zealand South African games. And I'm sure it's the same in Australia. And maybe having some of these huge, big superstars spread across the whole competition would really make it a lot more interesting. Really having X-Factor players playing for the Jaguares, Durban. I think it's a good idea. I think that is a very, very good idea. One or two marquee players per team. That maybe fall outside of a salary cap. Don't think we have a salary cap in South Africa. We just can't afford. We can't afford our players. Next one would be that the teams' home names, they would have the team names would change. So it'd be like the Western Stormers, the Northern Bulls, Central Crusaders. I wouldn't know what they would want to call it, but having more a regional or a city title attached to the name. So Canterbury Crusaders, I think that's the name. So would make it a little bit more tribal. I think that's what would make it a little bit more tribal and make a better understanding of where the teams are from. And then the last one, which I like, I wrote an article quite a while ago for the 1014 on on my love affair with tours. I used to remember when I was growing up, when I was fairly young, we used to be able to camp out. We used to wait to get tickets, and then teams would come and you'd end up playing that a couple of games, like the Lions. They'd have a couple of games during the week. And I honestly felt, as a young kid, you meet a Brodie Retallick or you meet one of these heroes, and at these smaller stadiums when you're playing against the franchises, I think it'd be amazing what kind of. Also, you can take a bit of an extended squad, so you can have a bit of a midweek team and a full test team. So what they're basically trying to say is that, say we were playing New Zealand that year in the championship, both our games would be in New Zealand. So we'd be touring New Zealand. We'd play 2 or 3 Super Rugby sides during the week, or the build up to the games, and then we'd have the 2 big internationals. I like the idea. It makes it like a tour, the traditional tour, where the players go out and they go meet the fans, they go to schools, they do camps. I just think it's a great way of it just makes it a little bit more interactive with the team. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea, all these ideas that they're coming up with. I think they're just trying to generate some kind of revenue, some more interest. Look, I think they're still putting their bets on getting the Nations Championship, because it is each of the Southern Hemisphere sides, it's in their best interest to have the competition. Yes, there's player welfare issues and there's a lot of things involved, but just from a pure monetary point of view, they really would be desperate to get that going. But yeah, I think it's a great that they're thinking, that the broadcasters have come and said, please think about these kind of things and, think outside the box. And for me, I believe SANZAAR should solve their own problems, figure out their own ways of making money and not relying on World Rugby to prop us up. But listen, guys, please put your comments down below. I don't normally ask, but if you're new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. And please hit the bell icon to be notified when my next video is on. But listen, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. Chat soon. Cheers. Bye.